models actually have multiple locations and states. Sometimes we have projects on design phase, sometimes we have projects on construction, and then on operation. So different states and different locations. The theater, so it's not a building, but a territory. We have the whole territory of different authors and consultants. So different people has made these models, the building models, and the criteria has to be the same, because otherwise, what happens to the information? It won't be computable. Remember? We need the information to be computable, to operate with them. But not only with a model, with a file, but with all our files, right? With all our projects, with all of them. And the authors and the consultants are not the same. If there was only one, it could be easier, but there are several of them. And interest vary with time. What does this mean? That maybe your interest for design is something, but your interest for operation is something very, very different. And the model has to be different. We'll go through it. But bottom line is, the more complex model, the more complex the model is, the more difficult to be upgraded, because you have to add more detail for every time that you try to upgrade it. So for operation, you don't want very complex models. Very hard, they would be very hard to upgrade. Right? And at last but not least, integration with other business areas, facility management, maintenance, things like that. Public sector and BIM. I told you that this was the most boring, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to do it. Importance of the public sector. Well, these slides are from the content of the slides are from the handbook, which I recommend you to read. This is just a summary, very, very short summary of it, but this is the importance of the public sector to accelerate national efforts. How? By sharing knowledge, minimize efforts by stop reinventing the wheel. This means let's try to find some standard that fits for all, but let's stop creating new standards. You know that joke that there are 34 standards. Let's create one that equals to all of them. Then what you have? 35 standards, right? So you have to stop reinventing the wheel. And since the public sector covers all the stages and all the palette of projects, you can act on it and generate impactful and robust programs. What does that mean? Consistent information. Now I'm going to start speaking about consistent information. This is the role of the public sector in BIM. These are the roles. This is what it can do. Basically, is leadership, communication, and communities. Just now, like now, and the collaborative framework. What does this mean? This has to do with this one. Thanks to the transverse standards and encouraging collaboration, you will start to win time and not to waste time on the BAM, on BIM, trying to find new standards or trying to find new things. And then you can start measuring the progress, or training people, or trying to increase the use of BAM. Since I was talking at the beginning that we are going from the top to the bottom of it, this is very general, this is still general. We start going to particular things here, concrete actions. These are things that in Europe, or the handbook for the European public sector tries to make the public sector engage, try to start doing these things. And this leads to the implementation, to the BAM implementation. And now is where the action starts. Let's say we have a BIM model. Well, when we were with AutoCAD and things like that, we have this is the timeline for a project, and this is the amount of information of that project, right? So we start, we do some studies, some previous studies, we make the project, and what do we deliver about the project? Everything. We deliver the whole project. But what do the people put their eyes on the project? The drawings and the money, the budget, right? The bill of quantities. And what about all these previous studies? Nobody cares about it, right? Then it's beginning to be built. We start the construction, and on the construction, we start generating new information, like changes on the project, wherever. We are starting new generation, new information. But then again, every time that we change anything on that building, this information goes low, 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 and down. Why? Because if we upgrade the building, but we do not upgrade the project, then the information in the project is useless. Useless. In fact, it's not information, it's data. What's the difference? Well, information is those part of the data that allows you to make decisions. Information allows you to make decisions. If the data in the project is not upgraded, you cannot make decisions based on that data. It's not information. So you are losing information because you are not upgrading the model.